Let's visit the forest again. On this journey, there are many special experiences to enjoy. In the rainy weather, the lush greenery creates a breathtaking view. From the beginning to the end, you can spot many birds and animals. The journey is filled with beautiful sights, including elephants, bears, and a wide variety of birds. It is a truly satisfying experience, especially for elephant lovers. This journey offers plenty of opportunities to see elephants in their natural habitat. Welcome to Peak Woods. Let's explore the Bandipur National Park together. As usual, we stayed at the Jungle Lodge and Resort (JLR) in Bandipur, which offers a convenient package that includes both accommodation and safari. The room was spacious and equipped with all basic facilities, making our stay comfortable. We arrived in the afternoon, completed the check-in process. The evening safari at Bandipur runs from 3 pm to 6 pm, setting the perfect tone for the exciting wildlife experience. Right after entering the forest, the very first sight that greeted us, peacocks, deers, and even a mongoose passing by. Interestingly, there were no peahens around, just the peacock performing its beautiful dance. The purpose of this journey isn't solely to spot tigers or leopards. While we may encounter them along the way, our true focus is to appreciate the forest as a whole. From tiny chameleons and small sparrows to majestic elephants, every living being here deserves equal attention and respect. As you can see, there is a bear visible in the distance. Bears have an excellent sense of smell, which helps them locate food such as honeycombs and tree barks. This bear was quite far away and soon moved back into the dense forest. Nearby, you can spot an elephant rubbing soil with its leg and spreading it all over its body to cool itself down. The elephant appears to be around 20 to 25 years old and has a very calm nature. Elephants in Bandipur are generally not very large in size, and they are accustomed to the safari vehicles, so this one continues to mind its own business. These are the typical tree sizes you usually find in the Bandipur forest. It is predominantly a dry deciduous mixed forest, which is why there are favored tall trees. During summer, many of these trees appear completely dry, often without a single leaf on them. After some time, we spotted wild dogs, not just one, but 2 or 3 moving together. When we think of the hunters of the forest, animals like leopards and tigers usually come to our mind. However, these wild dogs can be even more dangerous, especially because of their strong teamwork and coordinated hunting skills. Wild dogs are even capable of overpowering much larger animals. While leopards and tigers usually hunt alone, these dogs hunt in high coordinated groups. Because of their teamwork and relentless chasing, even powerful predators often find it difficult to face them and may retreat to save themselves. From the forests of South India to the forests of Uttarakhand, these wild dogs can be found across a wide range of Indian landscapes. Look at this. This is a yellow-crowned woodpecker, also known as the Maratha woodpecker. Its scientific name is Leopard maritimus. It is trying to pull out a worm from the hole in the trunk. This bird is truly beautiful with striking black and white body, a red crown, and a yellow forehead. Although it is not a rare species, this was my first time watching it so closely in the wild. Right opposite to it, you can see a graceful peacock with a bright blue neck, resting amidst the greenery. It is calmly preening itself, gently combing and cleaning its wings. A peaceful moment in the forest. A little farther away, we noticed a deer feeding on leaves from the taller trees, perhaps tired of grazing on grass and finding the fresh leaves more appealing. Its antlers had already shed and had just begun growing back. The deer watched us for a while and then calmly moved away with the rest of the herd. As we continued ahead, we were lucky to spot a leopard. It was a bit far from our vehicle, resting quietly on the tree branches. This female leopard, locally referred as Mishakari, was not alone. If you look closely, you can see her cub resting along with her. Since they were quite far away and laying still without much movement, we decided not to disturb them and slowly moved on. While returning, we spotted a crested hawk eagle. This one is a juvenile. As it matures, its plumage becomes much darker. Next, we came across a straight-throated woodpecker. In this species, the male has a red crown, while the female has a black one. Here, the larger bird is the adult, and the smaller one is its chick, foraging on the background in search of food. We also briefly saw a black hooded oriole. Meanwhile, our woodpecker continued its work, skillfully pecking at the tree, as if completely focused on its task. On this Bandipur journey, we were 8 of us in total, with the green vibes, trip with Pikolins and Rod Green package. The group included 6 people and 2 of us. If you'd like to join us on such journeys, you're most welcome. Full details will be available on our website. As we moved ahead, we were fortunate to spot a tigress. She is an Alagata female tiger. Alagata means beauty in Kannada. It looked like she had just emerged from a pond, her presence calm yet powerful. This video was shot in October, and at that time, the tigress was pregnant. Today, she is a proud mother of 3 cubs, although we didn't get a chance to see them during this visit. Safaris in Bandipur and Kabini have currently been stopped. This decision was taken because in a few villages around the Nagarhole-Bandipur forest region, wildcats have been entering human settlements. According to local reports, it was believed that frequent safaris and forest stays were disturbing wildlife, which may have contributed to these animals moving closer to villages. As a precautionary measure, all safaris and forest lodges were temporarily suspended. It is said that once the wildcats involved in the attacks on villages are safely captured and relocated, the safaris will be resumed. This bird is called the rose-ringed parakeet. During our childhood, we were commonly taught to call it a parrot, but that is not entirely correct. It is actually a parakeet. In India, there are many species of parakeets, but only one true parrot species known as the vernal hanging parrot is seen. The rest are classified as parakeets. In this pair, the bird on the right is the male and on the left is the female. The female has a subtle green shade around her neck, while the male shows a slight bluish tint near the neck. Both males and females have a distinctive red tail. As we moved ahead, we can see a bear on the side. It is searching for food by digging in the soil. When we go trekking to forests, the animals we should fear the most are not tigers or leopards, bears are actually the most dangerous. While tigers and leopards usually have a lifespan of around 15 years, bears can live up to 50 years. Just like bears, elephants are also animals we need to be cautious around. However, not all elephants are aggressive. Brave and fearless elephants usually do not attack. Most elephant attacks happen only when they feel threatened or scared. In this case, he doesn't seem to care about our presence at all and is simply minding his own business. Watching this elephant quietly feeding on grass itself is such a beautiful sight. Anyway, this elephant looks truly majestic. In any case, without disturbing or angering it, we slowly move on from there. Look, there's a woodpecker. This one is called the black-rumped flameback woodpecker, and these woodpeckers are mostly found in south of India. After a while, it started raining again, and right by the side of the road, we could see an elephant playing in the mud. Elephants are animals that love to stay cool. That is why, during hot weather, they often splash mud and water over their bodies to regulate their temperature. When the sun is harsh, elephants usually prefer walking under shade. And elephants, whenever they come across water bodies, that is when they are at their happiest. Look at how freely and joyfully these animals are living in their home. Now let me explain the point I mentioned earlier about the safari being closed. Some people may wonder whether wild animals are entering villages because of safari vehicles. However, there is no direct connection between the two. Long before even safaris existed, there were incidents where wild animals entered villages and attacked humans, farmlands, and domestic animals. In earlier times, since there were no strict rules or systems in place, villages themselves used to capture or kill such animals. Today, the situation is very different. Forest Department officials handle these cases by safely capturing the animals and relocating them deeper into the forests, or in some cases, to zoos. This process has no relation to safaris, and in many instances, injured, weak, or old wildcats may enter the villages because it is easier for them to catch domestic animals for food rather than spending energy hunting in the forest. Once a wild animal attacks a human, it may try again. This is because generally animals like tigers and leopards are afraid of humans. Even if we enter the forest, they usually try to run away the moment they sense our presence. However, when they attack a human even once, they realize how vulnerable we actually are. Unlike other animals, humans cannot easily outrun them, climb trees to escape, or fight back effectively. Once this realization sets in, the animals may begin to attack humans repeatedly. For a moment, let's just pause and enjoy the soothing sound of the rain. After spending some time enjoying the rain and watching the elephants, we slowly moved forward. Along the roadside, we can see a group of deer standing calmly. They don't seem to be afraid of the safari vehicles at all. As we moved further ahead, we suddenly spot a wild gaur walking towards us. With the light drizzle continuing, the wild gaur slowly walked away. We then decided to visit Me Shikari's area again. When we reached there, we saw her, the leopard resting on another tree calmly enduring the rain. Even in the rain, she was carefully observing the surroundings from the same spot. Perhaps she was quietly planning her next hunt. At a short distance from where the leopard was resting, a group of deer was standing. These spotted deer had already noticed the leopard on the tree, all of them carefully watching in that direction while continuing to graze. Life for them is truly difficult. If they are not constantly alert, whether eating or resting, they simply cannot survive. With tigers, leopards, and wild dogs all present in this forest, it is impossible to predict from which direction the attack might come. Meanwhile, the leopard was licking and cleaning her paws, almost as if she was sharpening her weapons before an attack. This leopard is resting on a tree close to the area where the Harini Forest Cottage in Bandipur is located. Because of this, if you stay there, there is a very good chance that you might be able to see Me Shikari even while sitting inside your room. After licking and cleaning her paws, she slowly gets up and looks around carefully. Perhaps she is scanning the surroundings to see if there is any prey nearby. After spending some time in the rain, the leopard slowly climbed down from the tree. Since the tree was slightly tilted, getting down was an easy task for her. Because of the thick bushes and undergrowth, it was impossible to see exactly where she disappeared. The deer, too, were left confused, standing alert and looking around, trying to figure out which direction the leopard had gone. Soon the rain started again. For a moment, we decided to just pause and listen to the sounds of the forest and the rain blending together. After the rain eased, we then spotted two striped-necked mongooses moving ahead. They usually walk with the ends of their tails held high like this. Watching them closely, we noticed a serpent eagle perched on a nearby tree. It was sitting there with intense focus. After all, birds of prey have binocular vision, so it was probably carefully locking its gaze on something below. Look, there's an Indian hare sitting over there. Just as we discussed earlier about parrots, many of us were taught to call this animal as a rabbit during childhood. But this is not a rabbit, it is a hare. Specifically the Indian hare. When it comes to speed, it's extremely fast. Right now, it is sitting still and quietly eating something, probably roots or some small plants. They rarely come out during the daytime. Usually, they prefer to stay hidden in burrows and among rocks throughout the day and come out only when the light starts to fade. As darkness approaches, they begin to emerge. But today, we were lucky. We got to see it clearly in daylight. There were a few elephants standing along the roadside. Did you notice this elephant scratching herself? Elephants often rub their bodies against tree branches to relieve itching. When you go trekking, if you notice broken branches or scratch marks on the trees along the path with mud along with it, it is usually a sign that elephants have rubbed against them. After moving a little further, we noticed fresh tiger paw marks along the roadside. Since it had rained recently, it was clear that a tiger had passed through the path not long ago. Look, there's a mongoose again. Its black legs and distinct stripe along the side of its neck are truly beautiful to observe. This is the striped-necked mongoose, the largest mongoose species found in India. Here's another mongoose as well, but this one is different. This is the grey mongoose, which is commonly seen outside the forest areas and closer to human settlements. It is especially skilled at catching snakes. After the rain, we can see a white-rumped vulture drying its wings. This species is not at all common and is at risk of extinction. In Kerala, they are extremely rare and are mainly seen only in Wayanad regions near the Bandipur border. Even across other parts of India, sightings are very limited. Nearby, you can also see an Indian vulture. When both these vultures are perched on a tree branch like this, it usually indicates that some hunting activity has taken place deeper inside the forest. Once a tiger or leopard finishes feeding and the remainings begin to decay, vultures quickly locate the carcass and gather on nearby trees waiting for their turn. Should I also tell you about the safari charges in here? Safaris are currently closed, but I shall share you the charges. For the forest department safari, the safari jeep costs was 1,200 per person. This safari lasts for about 1.5 hours. If you choose jungle lodges and resorts, the package, which includes the stay and 2 safaris, costs around 16,000 for 2 people. With JLR, each safari lasts for about 3 hours. Okay, we've talked about the safari charges. Now comes the most expensive part, the camera charges. The camera fee is 1,770 per safari. That means if one person goes on a 4 safaris, they have to pay 7,080 rupees just for the camera, excluding the safari fee itself. In our case, since 8 of us went on a 4 safaris, we ended up paying 56,640 rupees purely as camera charges. Honestly, I don't think there is any other forests in India or even in the world that charges such a high camera fee. In most other forest safaris across India, the camera fee is usually less than 100 bucks. Compared to that, the charges here feel extremely excessive. In fact, with the amount of money required for 6 safaris here in Karnataka, one could easily take a flight to places like Tadoba, complete 6 safari packages there and still return back. Hopefully, this mindset of allowing only people with a lot of money to enjoy forest safaris will change among the forest authorities. Wildlife and forests should be accessible and appreciated by everyone, not just a privileged few. Do you see this group of birds sitting together? This bird is called the ashy wood swallow. These are social birds and usually live in groups. Even when they come to rest on tree branches, they sit close together as a flock. As mentioned earlier, each safari with JLR lasts about 3 hours. After the safari ended, we returned to our rooms and had dinner. The JLR package includes all 3 meals. After dinner, we rested for the night. Early the next morning, the next safari began. The morning safari runs from 6 am to 9 am. We first travel a short distance along the road before entering the core forest area. Early in the morning, after entering the forest, the first time we stopped our vehicle was to see a crested hawk eagle. As the sunlight began to appear, it started preening its feathers, cleaning and arranging them neatly. This is the average speed at which our safari vehicles moves through the forest. The guides drive slowly so that we can carefully observe the surroundings. Now this is something many of you may not have seen before. This is a draco, also known as a flying lizard. This one is a male. It is raising its yellow D-lap the flap under its throat to attract a female. Even though they are called flying lizards, they cannot actually fly. Similar to flying squirrels, they spread their membrane under their body like a wide fan and glide from the top of one tree to another. Look, there's a painted stork walking through the water, searching for something to eat. Painted storks are not very common everywhere, but in this area, especially near water bodies, you can see quite often. Did you notice the way it catches fish? It keeps its beak lowered into the water at one spot and gently stirs the water with its feet. If anything swims in between its beak, it quickly snaps up, and that's its feeding technique. The jungle fowl and its chicks look very similar to the domestic chickens we see commonly in our villages. There are 3 small chicks with her. In elephant dung, after about 2 or 3 days, small insects, termites and worms usually begin to appear. One of the main food sources for jungle fowl is scratching through such dungs and feeding on the worms and insects found in it. This bird is called the pied bush cat. It has caught an insect, probably a grasshopper or something similar, in its beak. Instead of flying very high, it survives by catching insects found among grasses close to the ground. While we were observing different birds like this, we suddenly heard an alarm call. When all moved closer to check, we noticed that the deers were alerting. However, nothing was clearly visible at the moment, so we decided to wait and watch for a while. As we waited quietly, suddenly a tiger emerged through the dense forest. This is Murkire, a well-known female tiger of Bandipur region. Carefully scanning her surroundings, she walked forward with a clear sense of purpose, moving steadily through the forest. Murkire currently has cubs, but they have been spotted only 2 or 3 times so far. Most likely, she keeps them hidden somewhere deep within the forest while she goes out for hunt. Now she began carefully observing her surroundings. It's hard to tell whether she was searching for her cubs or checking if there was any prey nearby that she could hunt. One interesting feature of all tigers is the eye-like markings on the back of the earrings. These markings may help confuse other animals, making them think the tiger is watching them, even from behind. After staring at a particular spot for a while, the tiger slowly walked towards that direction. On the other side, a wild gaur was standing still, watching her with complete focus and alertness. Nearby, another animal stood chewing half-eaten grass, also carefully observing the scents. In wild gaurs, males and females can be distinguished not only by body size but also by the color. Adult male gaurs usually have a deep, dark black coloration, while females tend to have a brownish black shade. Seeing the intimidating appearance and massive size of the wild gaur, one might wonder how a tiger could ever hunt such an animal. In reality, a tigress cannot usually bring down such a large wild gaur. Only strong and powerful adult male tigers are capable of hunting them down. When the lighting is good, this grey langur is truly beautiful to watch. Look, this is a barred button quail. At first glance, it's very difficult to tell the difference between a barred button quail and a normal quail. And this bird here is called the red-wattled lapwing. A little further away, we can see a streak-throated woodpecker working hard, pecking at a tree. This one is a male. On this trip, we have seen quite a few woodpeckers, haven't we? As we followed the sound of a bird singing, we moved quietly forward and noticed an elephant by the roadside feeding on grass. Not just eating grass, it was also scooping up mud and spreading it all over its body. On this trip, we have seen a large number of elephants, and there's a very good reason for that. Karnataka is the state with the highest elephant population in India, with an estimated count of around 6,000 elephants. In Karnataka, nearly 80% of elephants are found in forests like Bandipur, Nagarhole, Mudumalai. Although elephants spend most of the time feeding on grass, look, it has picked up some mud and it's throwing on its body. As mentioned earlier, elephants do this to keep themselves cool. Humans and even animals like wild gaurs and deer have sweat glands that helps regulate body temperature. But elephants do not have sweat glands, so to reduce their body temperature, they have no other option except to splash water or mud over their bodies. Look at this bird, beautiful isn't it? This is a plum-headed parakeet. The male has a bright, round maroon-colored head, while the female has a grey-colored head. They are not very rare, but they are also not as commonly seen as a regular green parakeet. The one on the left here is a female parakeet. As the safari was almost coming to an end, we were in for a last surprise. There, on a rock, we spotted a leopard resting. It was quite far away, perched on a very high rocky outcrop. We waited hoping it might get up and move, which would have been an amazing sight to watch, but it simply stayed there resting calmly. To understand how far this leopard was, you can see that it was resting on a rocky outcrop at quite a distance from us. Since it was so far away, there was no point in waiting any longer. So this brings our Bandipur Safari episode to an end. We'll meet again in the next story. Bye.